Welcome, everyone, to the Chompcast, the official podcast of Sword Chomp. Thank you for downloading or streaming our podcast, taking some time out of your busy life to listen to us. And don't forget, if you're digging the show, please subscribe and leave us a kind rating. It really helps us get the show out to reach new people. My name is Morgan Barnes, live from my studio in Montana. I'll be hosting the podcast today, joined by my good friends and fellow co-hosts. I'll get to some quick introductions here. From Japan, Mr. Shaylayton.
Hello there.
Hello, hello. And from the great state of Texas, Mr. Anthony Fisher.
Hello, everybody.
And I gave you guys, really simple intros this week after last week, where it was like I worked on these really long, extravagant intros, and it just kind of blew up in my face. So,
yeah, that was actually very entertaining to watch go down.
Things blowing up in my face, Fish? Is that what you like to watch?
All sorts of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I try a little bit too hard, and it comes back to haunt me. But, yeah, it's going to be a fun show today. Josh is not here. I want to mention that real briefly. This is the first show that Josh has ever missed, so we'll pour one out for our dear brother. Josh is moving
to the great city of Valhalla, the great beyond. It's been a pleasure knowing you, Josh. May your Viking funeral bring you to the afterlife.
I just see Josh's.
I was thinking of Fury or Max Payne. Oh wait, not Max Payne. What the fuck?
Mad Max.
Mad Max. Yeah. Where they go
Max Payne.
No, you were really thinking about Max Payne, apparently, Fish.
No, I was thinking of returning Shiny and Chrome. And it's one of the things whenever those like the soldiers of that one dude who's like telling them all, you're going to return from Valhalla, shiny and chrome. And it's like a big thing for them. They're all like, I want to be shiny and chrome.
Everyone wants to be shiny and chrome.
I want to be the guitar guy.
Yeah.
Shooting flames out of my guitar.
No. That's the first time a drummer has ever said, I want to be the guitar guy.
And it will be the last.
Whoa, whoa.
Oh, wait, Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl was the first one to say that.
He did. He made the correct switch into the world of guitaring. Nothing? Nothing?
I seethed quietly and then I unmuted myself.
Unmute that seethe. Yeah, it was kind of sad. Josh sent us some pictures of him just like leaving his house for good, and that's always kind of a bittersweet feeling. So, safe travels to our good friend Josh. He'll be back next week. And hopefully he listens to the show and he'll have some stuff to argue with us about.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully you enjoy Dave's basement, Josh. I had some good times there. It's your turn.
It's Josh's turn to experience. But yeah, so anyway, it's going to be an awesome show, as usual. So for this week, the lineup, we have a little bit of a Castlevania and Metroid deep dive. That I'll get to a little bit later. I've been playing Castlevania on the 3DS, inspired by Samus Returns dropping at E3. We have a little Prey talk, because Fish's wife bought him Prey as some sort of a gift. Was it an anniversary gift or something?
Yeah, it was an anniversary gift from her.
How sweet. And if you have a little Japanese gaming cafe talk, because Shay's going to head there later. But the topic of the week is our most anticipated games of our lives. And that is no joke. And what we try to do on the podcast is try to find a topic that somewhat we can weave into the news or some point of our lives that makes it somewhat topical and concurrent. This week there wasn't a lot of gaming news, but we just got off of E3, which is basically like nothing but gaming news bukkake all over our faces for a whole week. So we're kind of cleaning up all of that bukkake residue, and I was thinking that how much we anticipate all these games, like, oh, this game's coming out in 2018, or Metroid's launching in 3 months, and really what E3 does is it just gets us really excited for shit that we have to wait for. And some people handle that differently. Some people don't care. They're cool with waiting. Some people pre-order stuff right away, etc. So that got me thinking, talking to you guys as friends, sit down and say, looking back over your life, like, what are some of the most, like, anticipated games of your life where it was, like, on another level? It wasn't just like, oh, yeah, that game's coming out in a couple months. Cool, I look forward to playing it. It was like, I need this thing now. I can't stop thinking about it. I want to go pre-order. Whatever it happens to be. So, should be a fun show. But that is just kind of a little background on where the topic came from. And I guess I'll lead into it as well myself, because you guys are giving me shit before the show. I know it's kind of a weird topic, but for me, I don't know what jumped out first for you guys, but for me it was definitely Pokemon X and Y. I'm sure you guys remember that time very well.
Oh, yeah, the going going to 3D, I guess, fully 3D?
Yes.
Fully beautiful cartoon. Yeah, I mean, for me, you guys know the joke. I've been like one of the biggest Pokemon fans since I was a kid, and I was deeply entrenched in Pokemon at the time, like hunting shinies and kind of going back to the older games. Me and Fish started a very brief Pokemon podcast that lasted 2 episodes.
The Poke Club.
I remember that. That shit was funny.
It was good times. What was it called, Fish?
Poke Club Radio.
Yeah, that's wrong. It was Poke Radio Club.
Oh.
God damn it. Don't even remember the name of it.
I don't care about that podcast.
God, I'm just like the woman who leaves Fish's apartment in the morning and you can't even remember my name. Disgusting. I know how you operate. It was a weird, like, anyways, some weird shit happened in my life and we lost our ability to do so. And we weren't really editing it. We weren't really taking it that seriously. It was just a way for us to kind of get Pokemon off our chest. But I was fucking balls deep in Pokemon for months. And I remember one day I was at work and I walked downstairs and got on our work computers. We had computers in like our break room that we could use for just like recreational purposes. And that was when, I think it was in May, when they announced that they were going to make Pokemon X and Y. And they had the starters and they had sort of like the visuals for the game. And it was just a huge deal in the world of Pokemon because Pokemon was going to finally look like our childhood. It was going to finally look like the cartoon, right? I mean, that's what I had always wanted, was for Pokemon to finally emulate the look of the television show, which is kind of what they were always going for. I don't know if you guys remember that time at all or whatnot.
Yeah, it was like...
Yeah.
I was very excited about like the animations in battle because it wasn't just a static image that was moving about and effects flying off of them. It was the fact that they were 3D rendered and like the camera would pan around the battlefield at times whenever you sit idle with it. So it was big. Yeah. That they were introducing a lot of big shit in that game, and it was enough to get you really hyped about a Pokemon game.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Jack.
I agree. Oh, I agree. I was going to say
Okay.
There's not really much to add to that. I remember the anticipation of, because this is back when I was going to college still and working at Home Depot, and I would just pop on every morning at work and I'd be like, oh, have they released any new Pokemon? Have they announced a new type or anything like that? And I would remember getting super hyped and messaging you about it and talking to some people at work about it and just getting really excited. Yeah, that was a good time.
It was. We used to do for people that don't know this, and there's really no way they could, pretty much everyone who is on this podcast right now, and then, of course, Josh, we used to get together and have these, like, private Pokemon tournaments. And I remember we had a tournament the night Pokemon X and Y released, and it was, like, such a good way to, like, build hype. We had trained and leveled up our teams, like, bred them out, like, these perfect Pokemon. We battled out, and then I remember as we were all kind of going to Walmart or whatever to get our games, we had been looking online to, like, we spoiled all the Pokemon for ourselves, which was, I don't know how I feel about that now, like, it's so exciting you can't help it, but then you kind of ruin a lot of the magic,
You do, but at the same time, it's weird because, like, this generation for Sun and Moon, everyone was doing what we did with X and Y, which I'm sure everyone was doing the same with X and Y, and I got myself really hyped for that game, and when I finally played it, I loved it. But this one, I didn't really hype myself up for. I kind of kept myself in the dark, and then I ended up not really giving a shit about Sun and Moon. So I don't know if that's just a sign of.
You think maybe the hype like helped you?
I think that like the hype Yeah, I think that built me up to wanting to play it more, because this time around I didn't really care much for Sun and Moon. I maybe sunk 20 hours in it and I got bored. But then again, that when I was playing it was around the same time I started playing Witcher 3, so I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
I don't blame you, because I mean, I think you're onto something though, because that would have been the end of the 3DS's cycle. So a lot of that visual, like, oh my god, Pokemon they look like cartoons. A lot of that magic of it going to the 3DS was kind of worn down,
Yeah, for sure.
Oh.
Yeah, for sure. I
Go
think
ahead.
so. I think there's got to be something to that. You build something up, and then it's either gonna meet and exceed those expectations, or it's just gonna valiantly fail to meet those because you built it up so much. And X and Y was one of those games that managed to hit the hype.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, it kind of reminds me that got me thinking of like when people like kind of stew themselves in like a hype stew, and it kind of makes that like people who like if there's a new Star Wars movie coming out, they'll just like for the couple weekends before that movie comes out, they'll just watch all the Star Wars movies, so they're like their body is in like Star Wars mode. So
Yeah, I imagine it's the same with like Game of Thrones too. Like just that type of level, you want to be ready for the next the next entry. And especially with Pokemon too, with how many Pokemon there are now, you gotta kind of remember the types and stuff to be competitive whatsoever.
I agree with what you guys are saying there. Like, I guess the reason I was really hyped for X and Y was I guess I had a kind of a falling off with Pokemon after Diamond and Pearl, and I think those came out like in 2006, and it was quite some time since we got the next generation. It was like 7 years since we got Pokemon X and Y, so like that was a lot of time.
No, you skipped Black and White. You skipped Black and White.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I did.
But you missed Black and White.
I did. Yeah. So I was actually
you missed a good phase.
I feel like I did, because I went back and started playing those a little bit per Morgan's request, and I really liked like the intro of the first one. Like it was cute to see all those starter Pokemon just running around in a room having a battle. I thought that was cute as hell to me for some reason, and you don't really get those types of intros, I guess, in Pokemon that kind of stick with you. But yeah, I did miss out on that generation, and there was some pretty cool Pokemon that came out of that generation as well. One being Scrafty. Really like Scrafty.
Scrafty. I forgot about that Pokemon. Yeah, you really missed out, man, because that's when Josh and I got back into it.
Yeah. That was a weird that was a podcast we did back in the day for secondplaythrough.com, and I remember I was like the Pokemon freak, and then Josh and Shay slowly got turned around on it, which that's kind of funny. It was a good time.
Yeah, we talked a lot of shit, Josh and I did, and then we both ended up buying our rental copies, because I remember that I had Morgan had let me borrow his original 3DS, or not 3DS, DS, and I took it with me to Bozeman for a week, and then I had rented the game, and I was like, fuck, I'm loving this game, but I'm not done with it. So I ended up buying a DS Lite and the rental copy from Hastings, and then I still own that copy now, because I love that game so much. And it brought me back into the world of Pokemon.
Nice.
Yeah, there's something to that, like when you don't play something for a long time, and they make a big, like for you guys just hadn't really cared about Pokemon that much in a long time, so it was kind of like fresh again. I wish Pokemon could be fresh like that for me again. I don't think it really, until they make a really big evolution, like we've already talked about in the past, I don't think it's ever going to get there for me for quite a while. But I do remember X and Y being like one of those times where I just could not, like they were making my